Like slavery and apartheid, poverty is not natural. It is man-made and it can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. Nelson Mandela.
Leadership should be about helping people to get through this staggeringly rapid technological and social change. What artificial intelligence will do to the labor market, what climate change will do, how it will increase the inequality between the rich and the poor and the rich and the middle class, for that matter. These are big challenges, and so leaders ought to help people navigate that, should have a vision for the future that's inclusive. That
Andrew isn't divisive. He isn't spending time holding up shiny objects to blind and divide us.
Another problem with the modern economy is that it fails to reward certain types of important work. Stay-at-home parents or folks who look after their elderly family members are not valued by the job market. A UBI would make sure they're taken care of.
Right now, there are millions of American women in exploitative or abusive jobs or relationships because they lack the economic freedom to actually make a change in their situation. So if the Democratic Party is going to talk about empowering women, and then, you're in some job that's exploiting you or some, relationship that's not good to you, then you can be like, I don't need this. It is immoral that in the richest, most advanced economy in the world, we are more stressed out about navigating our Byzantine dysfunctional healthcare system when our loved ones get sick or injured than we are actually caring for them and helping them get well. And so I think it would also help destigmatize mental health issues and anxiety and depression around the country, and just say, look, we all have struggles. That includes people at the top of the government. We should have a psychologist in the White House that's looking in on the mental health of the executive branch, because it doesn't make any sense to me to have that much power and responsibility without some sort of a mental health professional. Now, I'm for equal pay. I'm for paid family leave. I'm for flexible work. That's what countries. So it's clear to me just how deranged and anti-women and anti-human our system is at this point.
I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income.
We're in an era of the collapse of institutional trust. We don't trust our government. We don't trust the media. There's this massive rebuilding of trust that we have to earn with the American people and build an economy that centers around how people are doing.
Could not have asked for any better weather. So I don't know what you did, but thank you.
Wait. There's an Asian man running for president who wants to give everyone $1,000 a month. Am I right? Now, the first time you heard that, you were like, that sounds like a gimmick. But then when you dig in, you realize that this idea has been with us since the founding of our country. Thomas Paine was for it. At the beginning, he called it the citizen's dividend. Martin Luther King championed it. In 1967, he called it a guaranteed minimum income, and it is what he was fighting for until he was assassinated the following year in 1968. Milton Friedman and 1,000 economists signed a study saying this would be tremendous for America, so much so, it was so mainstream that it passed the U.S. House of Representatives in 1971 twice. It almost became law, it came this close. And then 11 years later, one state did pass a dividend where now everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. And what state is that? And how do they pay for it? And what is the oil of the 21st century? Technology! Marijuana, that's right, Seattle! No, you are right, it's technology. It's marijuana-related technology. Technology is the oil of the 21st century. What they're paying for in Alaska with oil money, we can pay for with technology throughout the country. Now, I know some of you work for Amazon. How much did Amazon pay in federal taxes last year? Zero! That's right. And you know those accountants were high-fiving, being like, we got it down to zero taxes again this year. Jeff's going to be so happy with us. He's going to give us another Buick full of cash. And then we're going to take that cash home to our mansions, throw it in the vault, and take a bath in it like Scrooge McDuck, like we do in all the good years. Amazon's like this giant vacuum sucking up $20 billion in commerce every year out of our Main Street economies. Now, it is not Amazon's fault. Amazon's just really good at what it does. And it's not even Amazon's fault that they're paying zero in taxes. That's also their job. But it's our fault if they're paying zero in taxes. People look around, it's like, we must have messed up if we've designed a system where $1 trillion tech company can pay less in federal taxes than everyone here in this park tonight. So the Amazon employees are like, oh shit, is Jeff watching me right now? Should I cheer for this? It's cool, it's cool. Jeff's looking at some rocket to Mars right now. He's not paying attention to this part. If companies like Amazon are going to invest billions of dollars in AI and make things faster and more efficient, that's great. But we have to put our entire society, including everyone here in Seattle, in position to benefit from that progress and share in it. And that's what this $1,000 a month is designed to do. So the point is that you would spend the money on things that you want, and a lot of that money would stay right here in the economy and circulate over and over again. It would make you all stronger, healthier, mentally healthier, would improve your relationships, would help create a path for you to do more of the work that you want to do. This is the human-centered trickle-up economy. From people, families, and communities up. And that's what we can make a reality. Yes. Dividend. The second big move is to get healthcare off the backs of American families and businesses. It is totally messed up in the richest and most advanced country in the history of the world. When we get sick or injured, we are more stressed out about navigating our healthcare system and our bureaucracy and paying for treatment than we are getting well. And it does not need to be that way. And one thing that infuriates me is when people are like, how are you going to pay for that? Are you kidding me? We already spend twice as much in our healthcare as other countries to worse effects. We're spending 18% of GDP. Again, I did the math. We can get the prices down, the access up, and improve our healthcare system and make it much more transparent and rational. I have a friend who's a healthcare investor, and she said to me, she said, Andrew, I've been looking at the numbers of these healthcare companies, and I've never seen anything like it. I have never seen profiteering at this level. It is like, she said, like it actually struck her as completely corrupt. And she went so far as to say she's going to short the stocks or bet against the stocks of those companies, and then she gave me a donation, and she said, go clean that shit up. Third big move we have to make. How many of you were excited about GDP when you woke up this morning? How many of you were like, I'm going to make a big contribution today? I can feel it. So GDP is going up and up. Meanwhile, more and more Americans are getting left behind. How many of you knew that our life expectancy has declined for the last 3 years? Yeah, and why is that? Suicides and drug overdoses have both overtaken vehicle deaths as leading cause of death for the first time in American history. Do you all want to know the last time our life expectancy declined for 3 years in a row? The Spanish flu of 1918. That man's definitely a Yang gangster. Yeah, it's the Spanish flu. So what good is celebrating record high GDP when our people are dying younger? And right now, my wife is at home with our 2 boys, one of whom is autistic. What does her work get calculated at in GDP? Zero! What does the market value her work at? Zero! And we all know that's nonsense. We know that the work she's doing is more challenging and important and vital for our future than a lot of the other work that's going on. Does not balance the scales, but right now there are millions of American women who are in exploitative or abusive jobs or relationships because they lack the economic means to improve their situations, and $1,000 a month would make a tremendous difference. Now the Democratic Party talks all the time about empowering women, and I'm going to suggest that nothing would empower women more directly and effectively than putting $1,000 a month into their hands. We can either talk about empowering women or we can do something about it, and I say we do something about it. So if GDP is not a measurement that we're excited about, what would get you all excited? What would you like, if that improved, that would actually make you say, wow, things are getting better? Andrew Yang in the White House, I appreciate that. Thank you. So mental health and freedom from substance abuse. education and childhood success, our own health and life expectancy, yes, homelessness, and everyone having a roof over their head, how clean our air and water are. So these are measurements that would actually get you excited. And this is what we can use to measure our progress moving forward. We made up GDP almost 100 years ago. And even the inventor of GDP said 3 things. He said, number 1, this is a terrible measurement for national well-being and we should never use it as that. Number 2, we should include parenthood and motherhood because it's so important. And number 3, we should not include military defense spending because it has no economic value. So of course we ignored all 3 of those things, and now we're riding GDP off a cliff. USA! 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 Are you chanting USA or US Yang? I couldn't even tell. Either one. When you were saying USA and I cupped my ear, I got like Hulk Hogan flashbacks, the 80s. So this is not that hard to fix. After I'm president, all I have to do is go down the street to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics and say, hey, GDP, really old, really out of date. How about we update it with these other measurements that people would be much more excited about, and then I'll present them all to you every year at the State of the Union. I'm going to be the first president to use PowerPoint in the State of the Union. How do you feel about that? Yeah, break out the PowerPoint chant. Don't do it. Donald Trump's our president today because he got the problems essentially correct, but his solutions are the opposite of what we need as a country. What are his solutions? His solutions are to build a wall, to turn back the clock, to bring the jobs back, and we need to do the opposite of those things. We need to turn the clock forward. We need to accelerate our society and our economy, and I'm the man for that job because the opposite of Donald Trump is an Asian man who likes math. Because what does math stand for? Make America think harder. That's right.
Math, an acronym we're working with, which is Make America Think.
I love Make America Think.
That's a great thought. 38 times 17.
Give me a minute.
Okay, I see.
Wait, he's not like a math genius. He just
was
wants.
a mathematician.
I'm not a robot.
No, he has hats that say math.
But you said the hats.
And he likes math.
Okay.
I do.
But you're not like a calculator in your head. You just
I'm not Rain Man, no.
How many more? Yeah.
38 times 17 is 646.
Didn't you know that at the time?
You've been thinking about it this whole time.
Yeah, he's like, it just carry it through.
I like got the answer like a couple seconds later, and then I was like, now it's gonna be.
That's awesome. All right, thank you guys.
This is a really important point. We don't have Washington filled with a bunch of criminals. Members of Congress are not bad people. All of them go to Congress, I think, whether you agree with their policies or not, for the right reasons. They're all trying to do good. But then they find themselves in the middle of the system that forces them, if they're going to survive, to behave like this. And so I think one really important thing is to stop vilifying people as if they're evil people and just take on the system, which I think is the interesting perspective somebody like an entrepreneur brings to this type of question. Because you look at problems and you think, what's the twist that might make this problem go away?
Yes, and I will say that I think you all, if you're here, you're thinking in these same terms. You're looking up and you're seeing that there's something twisted and messed up and imperfect about various processes, certainly campaign finance. And it's very tempting to then demonize people on the other end of it. And sometimes, they're doing really unsavory things. But what we have to do is we have to focus on fixing the system that is distorting and dehumanizing various people, turning them into economic actors very, very often. That is the mission that we all must be on. You all have this almost sacred trust to try and safeguard the rest of the country from this broken down system that is on the verge of pushing us off this precipice, after which there will be no coming back. And you can all feel it. Like, we're all heading in that direction. That's why I'm running for president. I'm not running for president because I fantasized about ever being president. I'm running for president because I'm an American and I'm a parent, and I can see the country we will leave to our children, and it is not something that I'm willing to accept.